That way I can post it. Okay. So the easiest but slowest way to do it is to make a mark on the foot. This needs to be pretty round in order to do that. Okay. It doesn't. We don't need to get it in the. It doesn't need to be centered right now. We're getting it centered. It just needs to be sort of in the middle. Kind of brace your arms so your tool isn't moving. We don't want to be like following this thing around as it's off center. What I'm going to do is I'm going to brace so I have my tool just kind of tracking in one spot, and I draw a circle on the bottom of the foot. Okay? I'm going to stop my wheel. What I've done is I've drawn the center of the wheel there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to move it so that the part where it touches the edge is away from me, and then I have that 1/4 of an inch or so off center in front of me. Okay? I'm going to look at that. I'm going to pick a spot over here. Okay? Just a scratch on the wheel. That is the same distance as from the edge of my circle to the edge of the thing. It seems like it should be a half, but it's actually the whole distance. I don't know why. There's probably some math in there. So I'm going to kind of align it to a spot, and I'm going to put both of my hands on either side, and I'm just going to use my thumbs to push it forward so that I go in a straight line. I'm not using my hands, I'm just kind of pushing with my thumbs. If you try to go half that distance, what'll actually happen is, I don't know, it's like a basic algebra math thing where it's like the 1/x graph where it like kind of like drops down and kind of gets really, really close to the x-axis but never actually touches it. That's what'll happen if you do the half at a time kind of thing. Okay, so now it basically touches all the way around. It's a little bit off. Like I could adjust it just a little bit. Wait. Might as well just adjust it just a tiny bit. So now it should be pretty close to on center. As long as it's drawing within a couple of millimeters, it'll probably be okay. Now I can just take and kind of tap it down, just lightly, grab some clay, roll it into a log, pick off 4 pieces, hold the piece down, make sure you hold it. If you don't hold it when you press these in, it might scoot the piece off center and then you're going to have to center it again. So hold it down, put the piece next to it, press straight down. Don't press the clay into the piece, because you could either move it off center or squish the rim. We don't want to damage the rim. Just let the clay kind of squish itself into the side of the piece. I'll show you the other centering method on the other piece. Okay, so this is just a Snapple cap. I have a thing of lids in the trim and lids bucket over there. Just grab one of these and put it on the middle. These are pretty helpful because you need to be able to push down on the top of your piece, and this gives you kind of a friction-free surface to push down. And the other benefit of this is it has that kind of like the Snapple button thing. You need to be pushing it down hard enough to push that button down as you're trimming it, or else your piece is going to fly off of the wheel. Okay, I see a lot of people just trimming like this. That freaks me out. I got to press down on the top because I'm usually putting enough pressure on here to for it to catch and flip off. But anyway, pressure here with my middle finger of my left hand. I'm going to connect to my tool with my thumb. I'm going to hold on to the tool with my right hand. I'm going to actually grab on and hold on to the inside of the loop here. And sometimes I'll put my fingers on there to kind of adjust it. But you can see that both hands are working together. Press down on the top. And I'm not at 3 o'clock. I'm about 4:30, 5 o'clock here. That's a good cutting angle. And you can trim a nice ribbon of clay off of the piece if you have it at about 4:30, 5 o'clock. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the excess width off of this. And I'm just really kind of going by looks. Sometimes there's an indication on the inside of the bowl of where you're supposed to trim it. I can kind of help you out with that if you aren't quite sure where to put the foot. But if you have a really nice round curve on the inside, you just sort of guess where you want it by proportion to the rest of the piece. Okay, so I removed the excess, and that was just with this round part. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to this part. I'm going to kind of go straight down. Okay, and kind of define the foot. And then I'm going to round off that curve. It's trying to match that inside curve. Now the piece will have a sound when you tap it. Like right in the middle, it's kind of thunky and deep. On the outside, if you listen to it, it's almost like tapping on a piece of cardboard or something like that. It starts to sound hollow. That's not something that you'll get right away, like listening for those subtleties in the sound. Like it took me a little while to figure it out, but you can hear how thick a piece is just by tapping on it if it's the right dryness. Okay, now I'm taking my metal rib here. I'm holding it at a right angle to the piece, kind of flexing it just a little bit like that, and then just kind of carving, smoothing it out, carving it out. I'm going to take this one. There's a bunch of different styles of tools that you can use. There's the big loop, the small loop. These are kind of like the standard trimming tools. And this one I'm just using for this point here because I want to make this undercut. It's going to go straight in for that. I'm going to make a bevel. I always make a bevel on my feet. That way when you set it down on the table, it's encountering an angle rather than the edge, like a sharp edge. If you leave a sharp edge and no bevel, it'll just chip all the time. All right, now I'm going to take that off. A lot of people will use the smaller tool on the inside here. That's fine if you're uncomfortable with the larger one. The larger one's going to grab a lot more. It's just the one that I prefer. It's the one I'm used to. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold on to, basically just hold on to that metal end. And then I'm going to press down right next to it. This finger's pressing down on the clay. I'm going to drop that hole down. I'm always tapping it. Make sure that, I still have clay there, or how much clay I need to remove. Okay, it's starting to sound. It's like, not necessarily the tone of the sound, it's like the sound behind the sound, or underneath the sound. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Once you get it, you'll get it. Okay, so I don't know if you noticed, but this is a little higher than this, because the inside, when I flip it over, the inside's a really steady curve. So I want this outside to be a really steady curve all the way through. That way we're matching the inside shape with the outside shape. Now I'm just going to kind of clean up the inside of this foot. And then I have this kind of thing that I do. I don't know if it's necessarily a signature of mine. I think there's probably a number of other people that do this. But I just kind of go like this, get a track over the side, and then I stop my wheel and take out a little chunk like over the side. So that's just kind of a thing that I do. You don't have to do that. Just kind of to show that it's a handmade object, I guess. My pieces tend to be a little bit on the mechanical side, so adding a little bit of something that takes it out of that mechanical realm is kind of nice. So this has this nice contrast between this kind of wiggle on the side and this, fairly evenly trimmed mechanical foot. I'll pass it around so you can kind of feel the balance. It should feel like you could just kind of roll it around your hand. It shouldn't feel like one of those clown punching bags that you knock it over and it stands right back up. It should feel nice and balanced all the way through. So go ahead and stop that one.